that's going to be fun to see later on. Of course, if you've not seen as much of EMEA and you've not seen what Yumpy's been doing, he's very loud. He's screaming so much that we had to turn the volume down because he was deafening us. And I think you look at the other side, I don't even need to talk about what Zelsis is going to be doing because you all know what Zelsis is going to be doing. So I think this is going to be some standing up, some fun, and hopefully soon we will be getting back into things. And there you go, timer ticking, we're good to go.
That's what I like to see, Tom. Right into the action. Sentinels and BBL fighting it out on Icebox. The loser will face an elimination matchup tomorrow. That's not really where you want to be at right off rip. Your key under threat. As the timer ticks away, it is Sentinels who will be mounting an attack and clearly looking to isolate Magnum in this early fight. Moving towards this A site, BBL adjusting with a deep B push of their own, and they'll have a lot of information in just a couple seconds.
God, this is what we want to see from Sentinels. They get to set that pace. That's always the value of being on that attack side, looking to try and get off to a solid start, but already Magnum just taking that initial fight, swinging to make sure they have the advantage early. Narrate looking for a little bit of gymnastics to try and get them back into the round. Unfortunately, though, they are falling like flies. Zelsis, the last man standing to try and face off versus 3, and we mentioned that pistol hit rate for the side of BBL. Well, it's looking pretty good right now.
Well, it's all about that deep push on B. The information they had already had Yumpy rotating in. He hit a fantastic shock dart onto Bang, who was already desperately low before he walked through the Viper wall, and that just took it from bad to worse. The spike down, it's not looking great. Zelsis gonna go on the big wrap though, all the way around, previously spotted on A main, and hopes to have the element of surprise, but there's no one exposed to that rafters angle. He's gonna have to drop down, it'll be heard. Levin will have to be contended with, and even then, there's only 25 seconds to retrieve that spike and get it planted. This should be BBL's pistol round, locked in as expected.
Yeah, he's hoping there was someone left in the open, and well, eventually he will find him, but Levin's going to win that fight anyway. BBL off to that strong start that they were looking for. I will say that the only critique I have at the stage, I know someone in production is probably panicking right now, but it's actually more to do with the EMEA. I see someone glowing red and I panic. Like, it's like, it's so scary to me. I'm so EMEA core. It's like, red? That means technical pause. No, we can't have it. And it's actually just, it's the red versus blue. It's a really cool looking stage. I'm sure over the next couple of days I'll get that panic out of my system, but for now at least, solid start. And I think that's going to be important. That's the other thing you have to bear in mind with best of ones. You win both pistols and you're in a very, very good spot. I'm off 11. He's looking to try and kick things off with a few extra orbs.
Poison's gone.
And there's one already.
Yeah, he's out for free. And those rotations really what got BBL that previous round. They're on it again here. As Spike goes down, there's already 2 players detracted. Now another falling. And the numbers flooding back into this B site for the defensive side. Yet to even lose a player. And they've got that ghost to fall back on. They can recover a weapon potentially. And that is going to be picked back up by Yumpy. So losses here minimal. And this is a wonderful start to the half for BBL.
Yeah, solid stuff. Of course, an extra plant for Sentinels, so it's at least a little bit of extra credits that they can throw in. They didn't really spend anything into this round, so you come out with a kill on a plant. It doesn't look great, but it's absolutely fine. And now as well, we'll get to see the 4 rifles coming in for this squad. Of course, like you go back and you look at both teams, in fact, in their last results when it comes to Icebox, it's not been the best. And that's, again, it's always interesting because I think when looking at the Veto initially, I was like, if they're going to go for a strong map, we maybe end up on a Pearl. I think both teams are great at Pearl, but I can kind of understand that for either side it would be more of a risk. And maybe this was their sort of surprise factor. Levin already going walkabouts, looking to get up in their face. I don't know if they'll expect this straight away, but Bang wins the fight anyway, and John QT does as well.
It is a bold play to go for that push, outlaw in hand, up against full shields. I mean, he needed both shots to connect there, and obviously it hasn't worked out. BBL, now it comes down to damage. Players like Sociable and Magnum alive, sure, you could still see them winning this round, but Sociable's been tagged up heavy, and Sentinels are on their way towards him. Nice little angle above the smoke, but dealt with quickly, and again then, we look to Magnum. He's recovered himself a Vandal. Can he find a couple of kills here to put a dent in that Sentinels economy?
The thing is, Sentinels are being incredibly methodical. Drone used just to make sure if any surprises were left on the site. He's quite far away. And as you said, with a gun in hand, he isn't that much value in overfacing here. At minimum of 3 players probably going to be surviving. Well, in the end, it is Bang to close out with a triple kill. Solid buy round coming through for Sentinels, and now is where things will get that little bit more interesting. Of course, some weaker weapons in there for BBL. They tried something incredibly aggressive, and I like the fact that, as I said, when it's these sort of games, you're going to take risks. You're going to do things that try and get you that little bit of an extra bonus in some of the earlier rounds. But Sentinels are very well prepared. Like they were not caught off by that whatsoever.
No, not at all. That was, as I said, a bold play to go for that push, but now with the rifles in hand, it's going to be a different story. And what I'm excited to see in these buy rounds is 11 already top of the board for BBL, up against Zek, and that head-to-head. And look, he's getting aggressive again. Not lost any confidence off that early fight. They've cleared Yumpy, they've cleared Sociable, and that smoke, it's given Levin a little angle to play from. He's good for the first. Not quite able to follow up, though. The smoke blocking him out from that angle. Drops down below, though. Good swing, and another falling. The thorn in the side, in the back, in fact, and this has leveled up the numbers with the turret, finding one onto Bang. This round, very much up for grabs for BBL, despite that double opening from Sentinels.
It's giving me flashbacks to when they managed to beat Fnatic on Abyss a while ago. They're just getting in their faces. Super aggressive, super off-kilter, trying to surprise them as much as possible. Even still, though, they've ended in an even scenario. Sentinels have managed to cling on even while leaving a pretty big gap behind them. Zelsis has to be careful that they're about to walk through the smoke. They know he's on the other side, but he turns at the perfect moment. Both heads taken off, and well, it only took 4 rounds for Zelsis to be on his feet.
Well, of course he is. That lockdown coming online at just the right moment to get them that little bit of extra space and time to get the plant in, and catching both players on the walkthrough. Of course, he had a teammate there backing him up too. That angle was being covered, and just a shame that Levin wasn't able to follow up quickly, but still, he did so much by re-aggressing down below, by picking them off, by putting the pressure on, but it's not enough. And with a performance like that, the momentum definitely in Sentinels camp. That leaves BBL without a lot to work with in this round. Sure, they've got that Guardian that's sounding off towards the B site, but everyone else is on pistols. Levin has got the Blade Storm to fall back on if they want to invest it here.
He's got the light shields. It seems like it is definitely part of the plan, maybe hoping that Prophet can do a little bit of damage first before he goes for the style points, and there you go, it is in play. I feel like Zek has been caught quite often in these scenarios, but the shot's not connecting, and while the trade-outs with those rifles going well, eventually Levin will pick up another, and Magnum with one more. The problem, though, is Levin so low on HP that even with those few spanners thrown into the works, Sentinels, again, they managed to stick the landing.
And now they're streaking those rounds together. Now they're looking confident down on that stage. And you look to the other side, BBL, that was a weaker buy. It had some opportunities to it. But this round here, this is where they want to turn things around completely. Ults will be coming online. Rifles will be in play for them. You can see Magnum's got that lockdown. They have the Hunter's Fury as well, and it's not online for Narrate. So not an easy counter available to get rid of that lockdown. And for Bang, who's coming in with Viper's Pit, you can be pushed out of that very easily. So there's no easy win for Sentinels here, and it looks like BBL have got plenty to fall back on. This is the round that they need to take it across the line. What was that? John QT thought he could sense a gap, but they were ready and waiting.
Yeah, his spidey senses were maybe a little bit off. But hey, they've been able to recover a lot of these early fights in those mid-rounds. Playing towards the A site again, it seems like BBL have adapted. 3 players ready and waiting, and somehow Zelsis has got away with that, but not for long. Yumpy picking up a double. While the remaining players are still around this angle, they're looking for the fight. Narrate has at least been able to bring one back, but loses half his HP for it, and still being spotted with Spike in hand. That is a lot of information. Then also just look at the position of Levin. He's back in towards the spawn, just making sure that if they try and fall back and rotate, there's nowhere left to go.
Yeah, just locking it down with that op in a nice passive position. Spike is tapped. It draws Sociable into the open. The reveal fired deep. It's not going to catch Narrate, so he gets the jump on Yumpy. 3 more to take down. Levin on his way up to Belt.
30 seconds left.
That's a big danger. Narrate seems to have a pretty good idea. I don't know if he heard a step. It certainly seems like he did. He is locked in, trying to clear him out, but the op shot lands for Levin. A round for BBL, much needed. I do like the idea from John QT to start this out. Maybe there's a gap and I can get past the turret, but looks a bit silly when there's someone just stood there watching him.
Yeah, it's almost definitely based on like reads from the last couple of rounds. Yeah. It's like, okay, they haven't really been contacting this so much. If there has been someone there, they've been playing alongside the turret, so maybe I can claim some space while the rest of the team goes towards A. But instead, Magnum just stood there looking at him like, what are you doing, bud? what was that? What were you trying? Already. A competitive matchup. As I said, I think BBL are one of those squads that, although we've not seen them in terms of the international stage, they're a roster I'm excited for. I've enjoyed watching them all season. And I don't think Sentinels will be a squad to underestimate them either. Lockdown going to be used very early. Maybe expecting this to be a spring-loaded push, aggressive into A with some lower purchases. Obviously, Zekka's got the Blade Storm, so it's not too much damage. But all that's really done is slowed them. It has, however, given time for Levin to completely take control of B once again, and so they can stack this side of the map.
Yeah, they're getting a good flavor profile, if you don't know BBL, into their aggression with Levin, and now with Yumpy and Magnum, the push-up. After the lockdown had cleared so much space, they wait, and just as Sentinels are about to go for that execute, they are pounced upon. Now, the advantage is down to just one player. The Blade Storm already claiming a life, and Sentinels looking to fight their way forward, but they've got so many numbers to clear out. They've got to get through Magnum's Killjoy setup, already detecting players down below. Sociable with a cheeky jump up on Pipes, and this has left it again all onto Zelsis. A 1 versus 2 now with Magnum falling, and Sociable desperately low! Levin's cleared it out in the end, but that was outrageous!
I don't know if that was... I think he was trying to fake the sound of him dropping and got a kill for it.
That's insane!
That's crazy. Luckily, Levin had made his move, because there's a very real world where Levin goes, I'm actually just going to chill and stay passive in case he turns around. And then that's just a free sight and a 1v1 reset with an operator. Like, that very nearly turned the round on its head. And while Zelsis have been having a fantastic game so far, it also means that for BBL, even though they're winning these rounds, their economy is still on the ropes, and that's why you're still seeing Sentinels come in with buys and kind of risk it here, especially when you look at how many ultimates they've got available. It's worth the risk.
But that lockdown burned up from Magnum in the previous round. Now Bang has a lot more value to bring to the table. This guy's incredible. How many rounds? Most of them. You see him going for these aggressive pushes. He wasn't scared to do it with an Outlaw. So of course, he's not afraid when he's got the op in hand. This is what I'm saying. You know, if you haven't seen BBL before, 11 might catch you off guard. This guy has nothing but a W key.
Yeah, I feel like they genuinely tell him, the coach and stuff, just like, press them. If you die, we'll play 4v5. That's fine. But we keep getting aggressive, keep putting pressure on them, keep making it awkward for them to go for these opening battles, because normally space you'd have for free has already been claimed. Now, for now, at least, it seems like Sentinels are trying to sell this as a bit of a ruse. 2 players currently over on that east side of the map, and it's a huge kill coming in for John QT. That is now Levin gone, and because of that, the B site is open for business.
I mean, it comes off as ironic that the one time he loses that fight is when he's trying to back off. And he's got to be going forward. On the way back around yellow, he falls. Now Viper's Pit comes into play. Like we said, you don't have what you need to clear them out of that pit, really. This becomes an uphill battle, and the lockdown thrown in. Sentinels want this round badly, and they're pushing forward in the pit too, just for a moment. Zelsis was looking for the fight, determining that they're not on the defuse, they're not putting that pressure on, it's not coming near half, and with the time now running down, you have to think that maybe they'll go for the save. Maybe they'll give up at this point. Fighting through the pit's not going to be easy. John QT's locking down that side angle. Doesn't see Sociable, but still, the time is too low. There's too many players to fight back against, and that pit made this round impossible. Great ultimate usage from Sentinels to secure their 4th.
Yeah, I like the split up. You have to bear in mind that From the Shadows was available, so if they instead got the opener on A, the spike could be easily taken back over to the other side of the map. But also, it's just a read on the economy. As said, like, it's only been a single player in the last round surviving for the defenders. So, although they have a few extra credits in the bank, I don't think it's enough to come in with a 4-buy here. So, okay, you expend a couple of high-value ultimates, but if you fully reset your opponents or force them, as you can see, into a really weak purchase, those ultimates are very well spent. And you have to bear in mind that it's not like there's a load online for BBL. You've just used them at the perfect time. So Sentinels managing their ult economy almost to perfection, and now you're going to need some hero plays for BBL if they're going to do much in this round.
Well, you've already seen how dangerous it can be with those pistols. It was Magnum picking up a bunch, and they've got the read. 4 players rotated into position. Last time that they were in this kind of position, Levin at least had that Blade Storm. This time that's not the case, but Yumpy manages to pick off one before going down. The problem is Profek falls with him. And now, this round looking a whole lot easier for Sentinels, with Sociable dealt with, Magnum swinging Classic in hand. No idea there's a player behind him. And Levin will be the man to do it all. A rifle in hand, a kill picked up, and he's running for the hills. Could just be the save angle.
Yeah, he was one of the players I was most sort of excited but nervous to see going into this event. Playing on the international stage, a fairly up and down duelist at times, and definitely one that sort of lives by the sword, dies by the sword. Like, he's going to go running in, get aggressive, and even still now, I think they've got the extra credits to play with, so the damage would be nice. Bang is going to make sure that it doesn't go any further. But yeah, also just with the change of coaching staff, although, like, we know Pal quite well. I know that he's good at his job. It's more so that Turkish connection. Like, you have that sort of Turkish coach to give maybe that little bit of an extra boost to someone like Levin, or of course Sociable as well. But at least right now it doesn't seem like there's been any real effect. He's having a great game. Sure, they are currently down at least a little bit, but I don't think they'll be too worried about it. We've seen a lot of teams have real strength going into that attack side. Obviously, I think adding in the secondary controller should help the defense just a little bit more, but for now at least, it is going to be a timeout called by the side of BBL.
Yes, they've taken a moment to gather themselves here. It has been a close affair so far in this half, but still the danger that their opponents run away with it. We've already seen that streak of rounds coming in from the opposition. You can see Pal waffling away there, working the box. And this is their moment to get back on the board now that the rifles are back in play. We've seen some attempted aggression out of Levin in the majority of rounds, and I wonder if that will be a facet here, or if we'll see a more tamed and controlled version of this BBL defensive side. For Sentinels, well, they're asking themselves the same question. So far, we came in, we talked about Zekken versus Levin. It's night and day. Levin 12-6 in his international appearance. This is, well, if he can keep up this momentum, there's going to be a lot more rounds on the board for BBL by the end of this. And of course, he is keeping up the aggression, looking and walking it down, but the paranoia perfectly timed. He's sent back.
Been a lot of these early fights. Where is he going? He's the edge, and Tears been caught over the top. Fear was not ingrained into this man, and the defense from Profek, they tried this fake again. Even a little bit of BM. There's no emotion on his face when he does it either. It's just pure saltiness almost, but for now at least.
It's not just the visuals, he reminds me of Hitman. He's got that calm, cool, collected Agent 47 approach, but there's some anger behind those eyes at times. And a 5v2 they've ended up in, it really does seem like you can delay Levin's aggression with some well-placed utility, with some ults, but you can never stop it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting going into the defensive side. Well, Zekken literally has to check every single angle just in case that jet is wandering about.
30 seconds left.
A little bit of a movement to get himself out of there. Now, they do have a free A site. So a plant looking fairly likely. I'd be quite surprised if Yumpy overfaces in this scenario. Not really any necessary means to go for a fight and try and give them the potential of getting back into the round, having to try and avoid all of that extra utility. And Zekken on the other side is thinking, okay, I need to get aggressive here. I need to get in their face and do something. And they have run out of time. Yeah, the delay actually works out wonderfully. Profek even picking up the operator at the end and putting it to good use. And BBL are right back on the horse.
I heard that tap go in like 5 times. They just couldn't find the chance to stick it. Shock darts flying in and trying to force that fight didn't work out. I thought that maybe we were seeing some of these issues like Levin there getting over aggressive in the 5v2. This mid push ended up dragging Yumpy off site, which gave that little bit of space for the plant to come through, but well, the plant didn't come through. And BBL end up with a round as a result. I believe a timeout now called by Sentinels as they look to have a moment to touch base before this half gets out of hand. Because BBL, you know, although there's been momentum there for Sentinels here and there, BBL have been hot on their heels, indeed taking the lead at 4-3. Well, there's solutions to be sought.
There's also just a couple of things that need to be mentioned. One is, of course, the group. Like, I think you look at XLG, even though they come in as like the technical #1 seed. I think at least when you look at China as a region, you don't know where they necessarily sit, looking a little bit shaky. And then you got DRX, who again, they come in as one of the lowest seeds, but they always seem to be dangerous. Like we joke about that squad being a 5th to 6th team, but in this group, if you're coming out and making it into playoffs, that's a pretty decent running. So it's definitely going to be interesting. The other thing as well for Sentinels is the bigger picture. They're them being one of the partner clubs. Like, they are not just playing for themselves. They're not just playing to earn themselves a little bit of extra cash or go for the trophy or whatever you're looking at. They are playing for the overall club trophy as well, as Sentinels are one of those squads. So there really is that additional little bit of pressure put onto the team of Sentinels, and they wanted to make sure that, okay, this best of one can easily get out of control, especially if BBL come in with a victory in the defensive half.
Well, that's exactly it. Still possible for either team. The 7-5 half. Now Magnum taking a risk. He sat inside that orb, eventually backs out. They've got to pick
all low
the Profect.
shields.
So there's no need to panic, no need to worry. And as you said, that Outlaw's so very dangerous towards Snowman. So they're trying to fight in towards Orange. And this wraparound from John QT expected, but he's only traded out in a 8. The numbers still favoring the defense.
Oh, Sociable losing quite a lot of his health. I guess just trying to gain that little bit of extra space, still having that man advantage at least for now. And in terms of the ultimates, they're firmly in their favor. There's not much for Sen to play with other than their wins. Well, their wins are not about them. How has Sociable come away with that one?
No one's watching.
He tanked half of his own HP on a snake bite and then walks in and just wipes the whole team.
No one was watching, Tom. The yellow player was tucked. The players in main were looking the other way. They were both looking the other way. You gotta wonder what was going through their heads. Look at that! They're lined up, watching the same angle, and Zelsis is hiding. That's disastrous. After a timeout. Plant down, and that's how they end up losing it. That's gotta be heartbreaking for Sentinels. And you're sat there as the coaching staff watching that unfold, just heads in hand.
Can I just say shout out to the production team for muting Yumpy's mic? Because it's early in the day. We got a lot of best of ones. We got best of threes coming as well. I did not need to be deafened in my first cast of the tournament, so I really appreciate you for that. I'm sure you had to suffer through the volume, so yeah, I appreciate it even more. Viper's Pit used immediately, but I like this from Jug QT. He's tried to teleport behind. Profake has gone chasing, but he's been paranoid, and now he's lost his Viper's Pit and lost his life. He's been played by Jug QT. And well, after a blip in the last round, they're right back into this one. Man advantage to start, and Leopard's already very low.
Oh, Yumpy, rifle out just in time, but Zelsis still catches him. This was a fumbled previous round by Sentinels. Not to say they would have won it, but they would have stood a better chance if they were watching for the push. This time, they most certainly are. And with the advantage already theirs, they lose the rate. Going through the smoke, find another onto Zek, and this is starting to get a little bit spooky, a little bit scary, as they now look to get that defuse. Well, not even halfway, actually. They're tapping it to bait them into open combat. Magnum finding one on the trades, but Zelsis standing strong with a quad kill to close out this half and leave them neck and neck.
Remain. One enemy remaining. Left. Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Welcome back, folks. Now, you've seen a close first half between these two teams. We came in hyping up Levin, and he certainly delivered with that aggression, but a big 4K from Zelsis almost matches him up, closing out that previous half. This is anybody's game as we move on to the second half, the last half of this series. It is a best of one, and the loser faces elimination. This is high stakes matchup. BBL mounting their attack.
I know, Zelsis is really impressed so far. Like, every single one of those kills as well, they've been like high impact ones. This is someone who is definitely putting up those numbers when they matter the most. For now, at least, a fairly open B site for them to look to. With Bang, well, he's now going to realize how far they've managed to get, but he can't really look to fight this. Just going to opt to try and play retake, but no, Magnum has domed him through the wall.
It's not a bad start. Levin as well, threading the needle. He's caught one looking the other way, and he got there in the end. Clean from Profek with the double. I think that might have been a little more of a clean fight that Profek had. And Zelsis now has to find 5, one-upping himself, closing out that previous half. This one not looking very likely.
You can pad the stats a little bit, maybe earn an orb too, but no, it's going to be Magnum to close him out. Another solid round for BBL, and that's the thing, mentioned it. When you're in a best of one, pistols go your way, it can become a very scary game very quickly. And although I think that obviously we saw the recovery coming out from Sentinels in that first half, and let's not count them out by any stretch of the imagination. It's always going to be difficult when you're playing up against that boosted economy, those boosted rounds already.
Well, this is it. This is what BBL do, finding that leg up to start out the half. We mentioned it coming into the series, and with both pistols under their belt, BBL set up with a big advantage. But Sentinels were the ones winning then, as you could see with an even half. Majority of those rifle rounds. They managed to keep the economy modest as well of BBL all the way through. See if they can manage the same here. All classics for that defensive side. Not a round that you're going to imagine that there will be very much damage done by the defenders, but they'll look to use numbers to their advantage. They might not have the weaponry advantage in head-to-heads, but if they peek this together, maybe they can overwhelm them. And already you can see Sociable under a lot of pressure, but Levin there to help out.
Yeah, he's going diving in.
Well,
he really wanted to pad those stats as much as possible, but instead, he's given an outlaw to the other side, which is definitely a dangerous gun to put into the hands of Narrate. This has gone from what looked like a very easy cleanup round to what could be incredibly costly.
Definitely striking fear into the heart of Magnum here, and that outlaw chime out on the other side with the half shields, but they're just going to buy time as Profek wraps his way all the way around. It's only a ghost to work with, and those players are already through to the A site. So his flank is going to be a little bit late coming through. Shock dart up top is good. That's Magnum that's tagged. It doesn't really help out with the outlaw fight. The reveal sent up and over. There's the info. Profek knows where to strike and when. Nicely done in the end by BBL, but some decent damage for Sentinels.
Yeah, at least they came in with 2 pistols, so realistically all they're going to do is upgrade to the rifles, so it could have been a whole lot worse, but you kind of see it. You see the good and the bad of Levin. It's like he is incredibly skilled, but it does lead to overheat sometimes, and that was definitely one of them, like gifting that gun over to Narrate. By the way, he didn't reload it, he just went for classic kills. But
he also dashed. He dashed through kitchen to look for that fight and spawn with a classic in hand. It is exactly what we're saying. We saw it in the 5v2 with the all pushing mid. We saw it a bunch of times so far, but you also see the value that he brings by getting this.
You kind of need him to be that guy if they're going to win. Like,
exactly.
If he's playing passive and scared, they've lost. Like, it's already done. Like, I think that's where Sentinels win out. So you'll see that side and go, that was silly, but it's sort of a necessary evil for BBL. They are going to be able to take this one over the line. Of course, coming in with a very good purchase for a bonus round. They will still have the credits to buy into the next. So for Sentinels, it's fairly important to win this and win it relatively clean. The fight, though, is already going to go the way of Levin. That is the B-side defender of Bang gone. And then re-aggression on the other side. Narrate wins the fight, but he's desperately low. A good trade, though, out from Zekken. And doesn't want to take the risk, but he gets caught on the fadeaway.
That's a big pick. Numbers advantage now for BBL, and they look to group up and push this A site together. It's only Zelsis standing against them. His teammate on the rotate, but John QT won't be here for this fight. Zelsis has to stand his ground and does well to start, but Levin updrafting around, landing in his cloudburst, somehow wins that fight and goes out for more. This is what we're talking about. If anything, that should be an overheat in both of those fights, but he ends up winning them. A 3K and a round win for BBL as a result.
Updraft, flying through the air through a nano swarm, kills Zelsis, and then he sees the Paranoia come through the wall, which, by the way, Junkie T had to adapt to where he was putting it because he heard the dash and was like, well, this guy's trying to push me, knows he's coming, and Levin, it is like the turbo peak. It's the Turkish aim, like, just, like, what do you even do? Junkie T didn't even have time to react. Oh, wow, even gaining the confidence to start standing up. 9-6. They've not won it yet, but this has been a great showing so far from BBL. Wow, it doesn't look like they're stopping anytime soon.
No, up against the pistols here should be an easy conversion. And for Sentinels, they've been the ones standing up, Zelsis especially, looking across the stage. Both teams have gotten loud, but BBL have been focused on each other, on themselves. Now we've seen Levin sit down. He's letting them know. He's getting a little bit loud, a little bit rowdy. But let's hope it doesn't backfire here, because we've already seen one pick for Sentinels. We've seen the rotation come through. 4 players on site with pistols in hand. Yes, those weapons are weaker, but with the numbers advantage, we've already seen what that can do. They're going to push through this smoke together. A drone clearing this out, spotting these players. The Paranoia not able to be capitalized on, and Magnum around the side able to pick off a few. The danger mostly dealt with.
You just see Zelsis, he's having to check every angle on planet Earth. That one might be free, though. Caught planting. Still doesn't have that weapon upgrade just yet. There might be one just a little bit further behind him. There was a death just a bit further back, but I don't think he wants to risk going all the way back to give up the position. And while he's already being swung on the other side, BBL not going to let that go any further, even though there has been damage done. And there was something that was talked a lot on the desk about, like, curses. It was mainly done by Device, that he was actually aiming to lose the half 9-3 so that then they could make the comeback and win. He actually said the player you need to look out for in this match is Zekken, and I wonder if he's cursed him instead, because he has not been having the greatest of days. And there's no question of the caliber of player, but I think if you came into today and said, okay, it's Levin, this sort of rookie-level Turkish player who coming into the year nobody really knew anything about, versus Zekken, an MVP at a Masters event just last year, you'd kind of expect Zekken to be running away with it.
Oh, without a doubt. It's been anything but. I remember the pick he found in the 5v2. Outside of that, I think it's all just been Levin in those head-to-head battles.
Operator in hand. The lockdown should somewhat make that null and void. The dart as well has cleared any closer angles, although Narrate looking to sort of try and stick around. The team play solid, though. One of them at least was reloading in that moment, and instead they've come out with a man advantage and some very aggressive spacing. He's hearing the steps, walk away and sociable. He's going to get Bang instead. Bang is going to be so confused, and then you're just going to see the TP to the other side of the map. In fact, he got into the spawn.
Yeah, he stayed up close for this fight. That's a very aggressive round from Sociable, but you'd expect nothing less from this man. We talked about him not on that Tejo roll and how he can be freed up to take some of these fights, and you can see him running away with this freedom. Zekken fires off, but now they know where he is, and they're not looking to let him get away. That spam puts him down low. The operator, even if they do manage to save it, it's 11-6, but BBL are closing in the walls on this man.
And the 2 players behind are going to be the nasty surprise. Magnum has slowly been clearing out angles, but he has missed one. The drop down. Oh, he spotted the operator, and that'll be all she wrote for the op for Zekken. And unfortunately, in terms of finances, they might not even get that in for the rest of the game. Like that's the thing. They either have to gamble it here, try and throw caution to the wind, or, on the other side of things, they have to take an eco and play from 12-6 down, which I don't think anybody wants to be doing.
This is it here. I mean, Sociable being able to get that much freedom, winning his 1v1 as well then for his 3rd kill of the round, and leaving Zekken all alone. That just was the round crumbling in their hands. surprised here if we end up seeing a timeout. I see the timer frozen. It's a technical pause, but perhaps even coming out of it, Sentinels will want a moment. That's 5 rounds in a row now, and it's not like they've been down to the clutches. It's been like Zalsis in a 1v3, Zekin in a 1v4. They have been ran all over in this half.
Yeah, I think this is what you always want to see when watching BBL play. It's that confidence, and like it genuinely has been filthy. Like Magda's been having a great game, sort of like just using the sort of craziness of the rest of his teammates to capitalize on those sort of swings that I don't think Sentinels have really been able to deal with. And then you just have, yeah, Levin and Sociable just doing just mad shit. That's all I can really say. It's like, yo, I'm gonna throw down a smoke and I'm gonna teleport into the smoke, and then I'm gonna run through the smoke and I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna teleport where I think you might be going, and you're almost there, but it doesn't matter because I won the fight anyway. It's like you can't base any synergy or plans or anything you're doing against this squad, because it's like, yeah, okay, guys, we're setting up for the retake, we'll let them have this. I'm dead. Yeah, you know that position you were just standing in 0.5 of a second ago? Someone has now pushed that. I don't think he was there before, but I don't actually know, because why would we be looking at that? Because they had a 4v3 advantage, but they don't care.
Yeah, it is definitely difficult to play against this BBL squad, and I think, well, we can't mix our words really. When it comes to this series, you have to look at Sentinels as the favorite. North America's number 2, losing to what, number 1 and number 2 place teams over in Toronto. Like, yeah, they didn't win a match, but they played against the grand finalists in both iterations. So for them coming into this, they should be favorites. And BBL, you know, we're big fans of them, but we've got that EMEA bias as well. Still, I think there's no way that you can look at BBL without stating them to at least be a dark horse in this tournament. And they have come through and delivered an absolute barn burner of a second half, at least, with 5 rounds in a row. Sentinels, their back is against the wall now, and we need to see them come out swinging, or this matchup they came into as favorites will be something they wish to quickly forget.
Yeah, there's some teams that you just think, firstly, will benefit from the best of ones, and those are the teams that are definitely underdogs, that still have that sort of flair and firepower and can pull out something a little bit cheeky. And BBL definitely fit into that bracket. So I think this was a decent time for them to have a lot of sort of break to reset and go for this. But I also do think, like, you look at them and, okay, sure, there's some very heavy hitters in this tournament, like the likes of a Fnatic who just finished second, who will likely want to come and get a trophy here just as a sort of like, okay, we can do it, we can get it over the line. But I think for a squad like BBL, there's also the added pressure of, okay, we were doing well. Like, we have managed to get ourselves into like that top 4, or even go back to kickoff, even making playoffs for the first time. That was a big deal for them, even though they've been so close before. So to then go, okay, we missed out by 1 match, making it to Toronto, we're going to get rid of our head coach. That is a bold strategy. And if you look at the responses from Turkish fans, that was the exact sort of response they gave of like, guys, this was going very well. Why was that the moment you decided to make the change? So now they have to stick the landing. They have to prove that, okay, Pal is that guy. Pal's the guy. Because, again, if you're behind the scenes, you know how good he is. If you're a fan at home, maybe you know he's solid. But you don't know. You look at them as a team and you go, okay, you're getting rid of that guy when we're doing the best we've ever done.
Oh, yeah.
You better be a great team at EWC, otherwise we're going to have some questions.
Well, that's it. I mean, this is a squad that, as we're not even talking about players, we're talking about organization, never seen the international stage before. No. Playoffs was something that they hadn't seen up until recently. Yeah. And so for them...
Playoffs in Europe, I think we're specifying.
Exactly.
Like, in our region, they hadn't seen playoffs.
So for that squad to now come to this stage, make a change, and under-deliver, all eyes are on you, and they're not going to be kind. But already, you can see the promise. You can see the expectation that we've been delivering about this team in this scoreline. 11-6 against North America's number 2, against the squad that took it close against 2 of the strongest teams at that previous international event. And now they're just a few rounds away from closing it out. The thing is, and this is another challenge for them, because we talk about, okay, you're coming up against international duelists, you're coming up against an extremely experienced team that have played against almost every playstyle that there is that you can think of in the form of Sentinels. But BBL now, with this tech pause as well, you got to see if they can have the wind still in their sails. Now, we've come out of the tech, and as expected, a tactical pause is called by Sentinels. This is their last one. They don't have much more time to put one in, even if they had another one. And this is a moment as well where Pal sitting over as BBL's coach, will be attempting to, okay, we've had a little bit of a break, but we're 5 rounds in a row, and you got to have these solutions, which honestly, for BBL, there doesn't need to be a solution here. You just got to keep hammering Sentinels into the dirt because these rounds have been convincing.
Yeah, I think as well, you look at the other side, we talk about someone like Kaplan, who I think if you've ever had a conversation with Kaplan in your life, you're going to know he's one of the most intelligent minds we have in Valorant. I think he was on the desk very briefly over in Toronto. So I think that he is someone that you give him that little bit of extra time, that minute that he has to sort of try and talk things through with the squad, and it can change the game. So I think that obviously you look at this now and you go, okay, this should be a done deal for BBL. You get that hot start on both sides of the map. You get a bonus victory as well in the second half. They're using that momentum. I think they're also just catching Sentinels off guard with how aggressive they're being, because I don't think most teams would come in and have the sort of balls to be this disrespectful to their opponent in the way that they're playing, pushing when they have advantages, swinging in 2v1s. Like, these are moments that you go, okay, you believe that you are the sort of alpha dog in this scenario. And so I think that just having that little bit of moment to reset and go, okay, remember who we are. Remember that, okay, we can beat pretty much any team on our day. But sure, against like maybe a G2 regionally, we've had our struggles, or again, you mentioned it, they lost to a Paper X of Fnatic when it came to Toronto. So I think that just because this has been decently one-sided, especially in the second half, this little pause to the momentum, I'm interested to see if it will be the difference. And if not, sure, they go into that lower bracket, but realistically, I think if it's an XLG or a DRX, they're still favored.
Absolutely, and without a doubt. And I think looking at BBL, they are the team that I would look at, perhaps in this tournament overall, to be the most likely to pull off an upset. I'm just caught off guard by how strong they've looked in that second half. Like, if these were close rounds, an 11-6 wouldn't even be that much of a shock. But the fact that it has been so dominant, that's really where I get worried for Sentinels. They need to find a solution, and I'm not sure there is an easy one. We've had that tack pause following the tech, and now we're back in that defensive side for Sentinels. The aggression that we've seen from BBL really not being matched, I suppose, in how Sentinels are playing here, much more reserved.
It's worth noting as well, there's pretty much everything on the table for Sentinels. Like, sure, Zekken has some extra credits, but they have put all their pennies into this. They're gambling on his Bladestorm being able to pad the gap, and thus far that hasn't really been the case. Operator on the attack side as well for 11, of course, that was saved from the previous round, so a completely different avenue they're going to have to deal with. And you can see how passively they're currently having to play on the B site. Nonetheless,
Here.
space being garnered, but also the spike is currently going in the other direction. That's the more interesting part. They've sort of sold this ruse so well, sociable, managing to get the opener, but the players haven't rotated yet. They haven't stuck the landing. Zekken is still here with that Bladestorm, spotting them going for that late move towards the A site, and there isn't a lot of time. They don't expect Bang to be here. And while Sentinels just being that little bit more patient, not overrating or over-rotating, has left Levin solo.
15 seconds and an op in hand. They want to take that out of his hands. They want to have it perhaps for themselves coming into the next. Great shots by Levin. He's surviving still, and the dash updraft gets him out. He's going to carry this forward.
That's got to be the worst spot to save from in the game. And in fact, he's actually thrown the operator away. I think maybe, again, wanting to be that entry point rather than having the op. So he's just gone, all right, I'm going to stick on a roof, pick up a gun, and then I'm right back into the next round.
Can't believe he got out of there. He had 3 players swinging him all at once, pretty much, using his own cloudburst to isolate a fight in the second. Very nicely done. But Sentinels, they have finally cracked the code. They've got a round on the board here on their defense. Now it's all about chaining them together. Their economy's going to look that little bit better moving into the next. They'll have some ultis to work with as well.
That's so sick.
I can't believe he got away with that.
Get out of my way.
Well, whether he wanted to or not, Zekken does end up with an operator. He's had to buy it, and now looks to be that lone defender of the B site, hoping that his individual firepower could take this one away. I like the fact that BBL as well are going back to just more direct. Like, they tried to throw a fake in. I don't think it's really been their style. That, though, a nice shot from Zekken, but there's no way out of there. doesn't have anything that can match the blades.
Again, it's Levin winning that head-to-head, going deep as well. He spotted John QT, looking for another, and it's Bang up top that's in danger if he steps out. Levin is hungry for these picks. But I like that Sentinels are sitting back. They're making that read. Okay, let's leave Zelsis to pressure behind, and they will get aggressive. They will make those mistakes. The Cloudburst, though, buys time. John QT now under pressure, and it's Levin to pick him off. Not able to deal with Bang, though. Leaving it all into the hands of Yumpy, and he knows there could be a player coming up behind him. But the steps now hurt. I think he knows that both are coming from Orange. I think he will have that information just from the sound being made. The reveal goes up. It's actually spotted both of them. Ooh. That was desperately close. A shock dart bounce off. Bang sticking it at least a half, sticking it all the way. Yumpy doesn't suspect it, and it will be right under his nose that Sentinels find the defuse. Ooh. Nobody makes it out of the round alive on the defensive side, but all they need is a round win.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Get the round onto the board. They managed to win it out in the last and, well, hold on to a couple of guns. This time, it's going to be that reset. And that's still an issue. It's still going to cause them problems economically. But this round, a lot of it just came down to Bang. The quick timing on his re-swing after John goes down, and then also just having the gall to stick it out completely, get that defusal over the line, and trust in his teammate is enough to bring them within at least 3 rounds. It seems like we might just have ourselves a pause over on the other side. Of course, that is the last pause in regulation. Both teams have now expended everything they have, but it also gives another opportunity to Kaplan as well. So time to talk, especially with some of those rounds being probably a little bit closer than they would have liked and losing a lot of weapons, especially at the end of that round. I don't think he'll mind having an extra pause as well.
Yeah, definitely not for BBL. You can definitely understand why they come through with this pause. This is somewhere that they now start to feel pressured. Sentinels cracking the code, and although none of them survived the previous, although it was close, the gap that they have, the lead, the safety net, there's a few holes starting to appear in it, and we could easily see Sentinels, the favorites in this matchup, coming through with the victory in the end. Just a 3-round gap and a lot of ultimates online for that defensive side. Great for reactions, great for the retakes with the Viper's Pit and the lockdown. So a little bit of an uphill battle forming for BBL, who were previously leading by a lot more, and they've lost Profek immediately. Great pick by Zekin. He's really starting to find his form here. Yeah,
them putting him over onto the B site seems to be the change they needed. He's able to at least find them opening picks. Uh-oh. He's been caught on 2 different angles. He doesn't even realize it. And well, instead, Zelsis has gone down as well. This seems to just be reaction after reaction. Sentinels trying to stem the bleeding, but instead they've ended up making it that little bit worse. Narrate at least will be able to find one. Magnum desperately low. Timing here is going to be everything, and that fight was all too easy. But it now comes down to the man of the moment. He's been having a good couple of times, and he will get both up above. No realization of that flank coming in, and well, I think knowing maybe there's still a little bit to do, there's not even a reaction from Zekin. He's locked.
That was crazy. They had the info, both players around that spot, and no hesitation. Like we said, really finding his form here. That was a terrible first half from him. I think he was bottom of the server. Levin was dominating in all of those fights. To see him now finding the opening pick on Profek, but so quickly reacting. Look at them clearing mid, waiting for that rotation, but not expecting such a brazen play. Levin still leading the server, 26 kills on the board, but the gap now down to just 2 rounds. Sentinels, they're back in the action, back in the mixer, and it's BBL left with no timeouts left to fall back on, with economy running low and a solution desperately needed.
Oh, we saw this in our first A-Stream matchup. Billy running away with it. Paperex, of course, the champions of the last event. You'd expect them to win, and eventually they did. It just took them some time to get going. 8-4 down. I think it may have even been a little bit more than that. But this would definitely be a tough one for BBL to take. You could see that sort of confidence growing with Sentinels. The pause definitely making a difference. I don't know what words were said by Kaplan, but I think I could use them in my day-to-day life as well.
Oh, another opening pick. This time it's Narrate taking down Magnum. Flank protection gone. TP comes in from Sociable, joining the team as they look for this A-site control. Viper's pick goes down from Sentinels, but so does Narrate. He's been picked off. This aggression from Levin working wonders. And if they clear this backside in time, they could isolate Bang outside of that pit. Few spams coming close and indeed taking him down. An aggressive play by Sociable, and it's worked out. John QT dropping out of heaven. Will deal with Sociable. Will deal with Levin. And that's Sentinels back in with the advantage. They have to play against time with the spike up top. It's a decent angle to play if they decide to concede the space to the lockdown for BBL. They need to get to Belt quick, though.
They got to wrap back around, and it's the exact spot that seemingly will be expected by the opposing side. Viper's Pit available, but not really something they could do about this, and they've taken the low angle to just try and defuse. Needs to try and tap away, and unfortunately, the shot's not connecting. The snake bite does eventually get the kill. Of course, Sentinels losing players after time seems to be their story so far, but they are winning the rounds. They are climbing back into this one. And you can start to see some deflated looks on the side of BBL. They were running away with this 5 rounds in a row, starting off this attack side. But as said, a Sentinel squad are never down and out. Until it is over, there is still a good chance they win this best of 1. And now, well, 1 round is all the difference.
It's so important as well that John QT gets both of those fights so clean. Not even a bullet landed. Otherwise, that snake bite would have taken him down and out. Somehow, with a stinger in hand, hit. Levin's won that fight. The 140 tag, not enough.
I love that he has full shields and a stinger as well, because why would you? That's such an odd fight to go for. Magnum's now found another one. This should not be the way that they get to 12, but maybe even beaten by their own game. Sentinels have always been pretty good with the stingers. It's been an America's staple. And now John tries to level things up at least a little bit, but they're so far back into this round. And what else is he's just got to scurry away.
I mean, that is a surprise, an uppercut when you expected a jab. BBL come through, mixing up the economy. Full shields on a lot of players, stingers on most. Sociable in that late round, playing so aggressive up on top of the generator. And they've even thrown in the Viper's Pit here. A little bit of an overcommittal, to be honest. The round was done, but you can't be too cautious in a round like this. Sentinels having climbed all the way back to a 1-round gap, and somehow that stinger buy is what bests them and puts BBL onto map point. 2 chances to close this out. It might not be the dominant map that it looked like it would be, but a win is a win for BBL, the underdog, close to taking it across the line.
Yeah, that's... You've just got to be seething. You've got to be absolutely seething. Because the other thing as well, though, is you understand the position of second. You go, okay, they don't have many credits. They're all going to have themselves light shields. Both Stinger players did not have light shields. They went in with the heavy shields, expecting that on the other side. It's a good read, but it also just has to be infuriating. You land the shot and still get punished. Now, Zekken is 1 away from having his ultimate. The main goal here is to get the orb, but I think he's realized, okay, I'm not getting in that. I need the kill, and that's exactly what he's found.
Wonderful opening. Levin, a little taste of his own medicine, the aggression that gets this Blade Storm online. Still the weaknesses. Man advantage for Sentinels. 2 stingers to work with. Nice angle from Sociable. He's been so aggressive. You'll love to see him on this Omen. This is what we talked about. Freeing him up a little bit to take some more risks. And he is thriving under those conditions. Leaving it to a 4v4. The spike on its way to B. Sociable left here to try to buy a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra space. But with just a sliver of HP, he will be falling back.
I think there will still be another switch up. We saw Zekken over on this B site quite regularly, and something we haven't seen is that Killjoy setup instead. So the contact already made into mid, that's a free kill for Zelsis, then the alarm bot should give away the game. So now they can pull those rotations in. His goal, just to try and delay as much as possible. Now bear in mind, Hunter's Fury and Lockdown are currently available for this attack inside. They have solid ults to play with.
Right above him. Zelsis is hiding beneath the bridge.
That's 1 gone.
And it's given to Wraith the pick. Now down to a 4 versus 2. BBL.
Right here.
Not looking like they'll be closing it out right here and now. And Zekken puts the final nail in the coffin. It is 12-11 for Sentinels. 1 round left in regulation. We're going the distance either way. The question is, can Sentinels bring us to overtime?
I would be the 2nd time on the A stream that we've seen it sort of fumbled by a squad so far in the lead. I'm a little bit surprised at the post plant here, though, from the side of BBL. Like, you have a Hunter's Fury and a Lockdown available.
One enemy remaining.
Like, sure, I think there's the counter, at least to one of those, but I do wonder if playing a little bit more passively, maybe trying to get the pick onto Narrate. I think that was the goal. Maybe that would have turned the round on its head instead. While you look at the purchase they've got, there's a Bucky, but that is the secondary to the Blade Storm. And we've already seen them manage it once with these lower purchases.
Well, that was the round that they managed to break the win streak. The Sentinels
You should run.
doing it again, though. Not as easy when Sentinels are playing that bit more passive, not wanting to get caught out in those aggressive angles and pushed back by this lockdown. A lot of space
not gonna break
for BBL.
Yeah, they could have opted to break it with the Hunter's Fury. A lot of the time, that is the scissors
Spike planted.
to the paper of the lockdown, but I guess just wanting to have it for the retake instead, maybe cause that extra little bit of disruption. There is the Hunter's Fury already being sent through. Levin up close with that Bucky is ever so dangerous, and they still haven't cleared him from this position just yet, but it's going to be Bang with a quick turnaround. Magnum still standing, has been able to find one, but he's the only one with a gun in hand. Everybody else struggling that little bit more, and so is he, it seems. Even still, though, again, the Sting is doing work. And now Profek just sitting back passively, not wanting this to happen again with the snake. 5 minutes second through the wall to kill him off. It might have been a little bit close, but the time not even remotely.
And overtime, it seems to be the story of the A stream here. I know the B stream had a very dominant game. KC up against G2 with a stand-in.
Yeah.
It was 13-6, but nothing but OTs when it comes to this matchup. I think we certainly deserve it. Sentinels looked down and out at one point, 11-6 down. And they managed to bring this all the way back to an OT. Again, I don't know what was said by the coaching staff, but whatever it was, words of wisdom certainly delivered at just the right time, and now you're seeing them back on their feet. Zalsis getting fired up again. Back to even footing. And it will be the attack side mounted by Sentinels, somewhere that they've been a little bit more comfortable when it comes to those buy rounds.
Oh, it seems like there's also parallels elsewhere. We've spoken about the close games, the OTs on the A stream, the B stream at the moment, DRX. If you haven't watched it and you want to go back, mute. If you haven't already, of course. DRX are currently rolling XLG. I think it's been a fairly dominant first half. 10-5 is the scoreline as we stand. And that was from a 9-1 start for DRX. So looking like they're coming in hot. Of course, we talk about them having the youngster from the academy team of Flicker. So this will be his sort of first time on a main stage, but it seems like they're having a good time over there. And for XOG, it's been that little bit more of a struggle as of recently. Of course, that is going on at the same time. While we are in the technical pause, you can always flick over. I would say you don't want to switch away. I think, like, I could be wrong, but I think DRX have got that one covered. Whereas here, I'm not making predictions. The only thing that Sentinels will be very happy about is going into overtime, there isn't another pistol.
Exactly, yeah. And you got to think about it. You know, BBL finding all those pistol wins, it's what props them up to this point when it comes to buy rounds.
2 pistols and a bonus win. So it's like...
Yeah, the third round and, yeah.
That's the thing. If you do that and don't win the map, you've trolled. Or your opponent's very good. In this case, I think it might be a little bit of both.
Without a doubt. Yeah, Sentinels, they've locked themselves in. That drone's gone far. Great read by Zelsis. He knows it had to be thrown from up close, and that's an easy pick onto Yumpy. He thought he'd cleared all of that A site. No one outside of it, but one had stepped in, and the opening pick goes to Sentinels as a result.
A huge start. They haven't really had an opportunity to be in the lead in this game for, I believe, maybe right at the beginning. They were like 4-4, 4-3, something like that. Managed to have a decent start, but other than that, BBL have sort of been running away with it, at least in the second half. 11, though, was their main pain point when it came to the defense, having to deal with this man and what has been an incredible performance. 28 kills, but he's definitely going to need a couple more, and they are being very careful of any smoke. The thing is, though, Sociable still plans to try and push this, and I like that. They smoke off the dart. He goes swinging, and that's a spike down. Looks for a little more. A 2-for-1 bargain deal.
30 seconds
And now
left.
with 30 seconds left, they've been delayed so much, they kind of have to go back.
Yeah, back into Levin. Problem is, BBL have sent players to the other side of the map, expecting that rotation. Levin's gonna have to stand strong. Already finds his first. Dash out, info is good. He spotted at least one, it could be both. And with 12 seconds left, they need to push forward
10 seconds
through the
left.
wall, and it doesn't work out for Bang. Zekin, barely enough time to get this plant in. In fact, he needs to get sticking. And Profex swings just in time to ensure he can't. Another match point going the way of BBL. Can they close it out this time, though?
All right, new pair of trousers to the caster rim after that shot that Levin just hit. That man must spend hours a day on aim training, because all of these were pretty nice. Give me this one.
Nice.
Like, nah,
10
nah,
seconds
that's a breed that only shows up in Turkey. You don't get that anywhere else. That is utter filth. And while from what was a solid start to the round, a decent read, you can see how pumped up they are on the other side, and some frustration sinking in for Sentinels. They know coming into this match, this is the squad of BBL, never making it to an international event before, winning the qualifier. They didn't get through on that sort of EMEA top 2. That was, of course, Fnatic and Heretic. So this for them is realistically a matchup they'd be expecting to win, and they have hit a blockade time and time again.
Well, so many players on the other side. It's their first time being on that international stage. For Sentinels, absolutely not the case. This is an experienced squad, and they talked about it on the desk. A squad that you expect more from than their result in Toronto. But the reality is, you look at that, as you said, Tom, it's number 1 and number 2 that you lost to. You look at it and you go, okay, we got unlucky with how the bracket played out, with how everything was set up.
Yep, sorry, just Flicker is just like done an MVP performance on his debut for DRX. That's nuts. Like, it really is. We've got such a great shoulder, Hans. I'm having to look at what's going on the other side.
We talk about an MVP performance, Tom. Levin, the rookie, the one that's up against one of the best in the world in the form of Zekin. He's on 30 kills already with one round left to play. Potentially, if this goes to BBL, it's 14-12. It's locked in. It's their dub, and Sentinels with elimination on the line again. Another international where they fall down early.
So this is going pushing. He's definitely been spotted, and that's not the start they were looking for. They've been able to get some decent openers over the last few rounds, but even still, there's been the fight back, so having a deficit is a problem, and there is... No, I was going to say there's no escape. Nearly escaped. Even still, though, a 2-man advantage. BBL with a chance to close this.
Poison's gone.
A squad that's long looked for their crown, and this will be a step in the right direction. A debut on the international stage and a victory just one round away. A couple picks, and it's left to John QT, the man to do it all. Levin, the one to close it out. An MVP performance from that man. We didn't know what to expect up against international opposition, but he delivered maybe even better than he does regionally. Unbelievable.
No, that's